During a family trip, my husband's parents made me sit alone at a separate table every single meal. Not one of them even talked to me. My husband said, "That's just their way." What I did the next morning changed the whole trip, and not in a quiet way. Hey, I'm Jenna 32, and let me tell you, I should have seen this coming. Thinking back, the red flags had always been there. The little digs, the way they brushed me off like I didn't really belong. Like I was just extra. Even in my own marriage. But I ignored it. I loved my husband, Ethan. I really believed that if I just kept being kind and patient, things would eventually get better. They didn't. Instead, I ended up stuck on what was supposed to be a relaxing getaway in Clearwater Beach, Florida. But it quickly became a whole different story. One I'll never forget. We just arrived at the resort, and it was honestly gorgeous. The kind of place you see in glossy travel magazines. White sand, tall palms swaying, waves crashing softly in the background. I was actually hopeful. I thought maybe this trip would be different. Maybe, just maybe, this would be the moment Gerald and Linda, my in-laws, finally warmed up to me. Maybe we'd all hang out, share some laughs, finally feel like a real family. You know, that very first night, we went to a fancy restaurant for dinner. The waiter led us to a big, perfectly set table for the whole group. I was just about to sit next to Ethan when Gerald suddenly chimed in. "Oh, there's a mistake," he said, shaking his head. "She needs her own table." I froze, assuming I must have heard wrong. "Sorry, what?" I asked. Linda didn't even glance up from her menu. "It's just how we do things," she said. I looked at Ethan, expecting him to speak up, to say something, anything. To remind them I wasn't some stranger, I was his wife. Instead, he just let out a sigh and muttered, "It's just their way." Their way. Right. So I sat at a separate table. Alone. Looking back, I should have left then and there. But I didn't. I stayed. I told myself maybe it was just some weird one-time tradition. Spoiler, it wasn't. The next morning, I woke up early and headed to breakfast, thinking I'd meet up with the family. I got down to the hotel restaurant. And they weren't there. I texted Ethan. Nothing. I wandered around for a good 30 minutes before finally finding them already seated. Halfway through breakfast, laughing and chatting like nothing was off. Like I wasn't even a part of it. "Why didn't you tell me you guys were coming down?" I asked, completely confused. Gerald barely glanced at me. "We figured you'd find us," he said. Linda sipped her coffee and repeated the same line. "It's just how we do things." I looked at Ethan again. And he was already eating like it was all totally normal. That was the moment it finally hit me. I wasn't one of them. I never had been. And Ethan? He wasn't exactly in my corner. The rest of the trip? Same deal. Every single meal I sat alone. Every group activity? They forgot to include me. They went on a private boat tour. I found out about it from their Instagram stories. They did a wine tasting. I only realized when I saw them dressed up in the hotel lobby, heading out. Later I asked Ethan, trying to stay calm. "You could have texted me, you know?" He let out another sigh like I was the one making things weird. "It's just their way," he said. That was always his answer. By the fourth day I gave up. I stopped texting. I stopped asking. If they wanted me to feel invisible, fine. But they had no clue what was coming next. 'Cause guess what? I had a way of doing things too. That night, while they were out sipping cocktails and playing Happy Family, I went back to the hotel room and got busy. I wasn't just sitting at a different table anymore. I was about to disappear from their entire trip. And they were about to feel it. I opened up my laptop, pulled up all the reservation confirmations and got to work. Here's the thing, I had booked everything. The hotel? Under my name. The rental car? On my credit card. Dinner reservations? My account. Even the spa day Linda had been raving about for weeks? Yep, all me. So I started canceling. One by one. The hotel rooms? Gone. The rental car? Cancelled. That fancy dinner by the water? Not happening. I even called the spa and let them know Linda wouldn't be attending. Very politely, of course. Then I packed my things, took the car and left. While they were clinking glasses and patting themselves on the back for their perfect vacation, I was already cruising down the highway, headed straight for Savannah. I booked myself into a luxury suite, ordered room service and sat on the balcony, staring out at the ocean, completely at peace for the first time in days. Meanwhile, back in Clearwater Beach, oh, they were about to hit full panic mode. The next morning, I woke up in Savannah feeling better than I had all week. I sipped my coffee on a cushy lounge chair. Ocean breeze rolling in, waves crashing in the distance, peace. Then my phone started buzzing. Ethan. I let it ring. Then Linda. Then Ethan again. Then Gerald. I hit silent and smiled. They had finally noticed. I could picture the scene perfectly. Gerald getting out of bed, groggy, grumbling. Only to open the door and find the hotel manager standing there. Sir, there's an issue with your reservation. Linda stretching and grabbing her phone to check the day's plans. Only to see a flurry of cancellation emails. Ethan, rubbing his eyes, still half asleep, listening as his mom's voice went from annoyed to full-on screaming. No rooms. No car. No plans. I took another sip of coffee. A few hours later, once I'd soaked up enough silence, I finally checked my messages. Ethan. Where are you? Ethan. What the hell is going on? Ethan, you need to fix this. Now. Just for fun, I picked up the next time he called. The second I answered, he snapped. Where are you? Savannah. Pause. Savannah? What the hell are you doing there? Enjoying my vacation. Silence on the line. I could hear background chaos. Linda yelling at hotel staff, Gerald cursing. You canceled everything? Ethan finally asked, sounding like he couldn't believe it. Yup. He sucked in a breath. Do you even realize what you've done? My parents have nowhere to stay. We had plans. You left us stranded. I put on my sweetest voice. Oh no, that must be so uncomfortable. Silence again. I could tell he got it now. I'd flipped his own words right back at him. I added, you all wanted me separate, right? So I gave you exactly what you wanted, I said. This is insane, Ethan snapped. You need to come back. I laughed out loud. No, Ethan. I really don't. And I hung up. Later, I found out just how sideways things went for them after I left. Since the resort was fully booked, they had to scramble to find another place to stay. They wound up at some dingy roadside motel like 20 minutes from the beach. You know the kind. Flickering hallway lights, musty carpet smell, questionable stains. Total nightmare. No rental car meant they had to rely on Ubers for everything. Which, in Clearwater Beach, is like trying to catch a unicorn. Search pricing hit hard and often. And that fancy dinner Gerald had been hyping up for weeks? Completely booked now. They ended up eating at some sad tourist trap with screaming toddlers and seafood that probably came from a freezer. Linda lost it at the spa when she realized her appointment had been canceled. Threw a full-on tantrum demanding they squeeze her in. They didn't. I got all the juicy details from Ethan's increasingly angry texts. Ethan. You seriously just left us like this? Ethan, Mom is livid. She got humiliated at the spa. Ethan. Dad's losing it over the restaurant. Ethan. I hope you're happy. Oh, I was. Very. I thought that was going to be the extent of their meltdown. A few inconveniences, a small taste of their own medicine. But then something unexpected happened. A few hours later, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Ethan. It was Amber, Ethan's cousin. Amber. Hey. Just wanted to say I heard what happened. And honestly, good for you. I frowned and read the message twice. Amber and I had always been cool, but we weren't exactly close. Me, wait, what do you mean? Her next reply made my stomach drop. Amber. They did the exact same thing to Ethan's ex-wife. I sat up straight. Ethan's ex-wife? He had always told me their marriage just fizzled out. Said they grew apart. No drama, just two people going in different directions. I had never questioned it until now. Me, what do you mean? Amber. She went on a family vacation with them. They treated her like trash. Made her sit alone, ignored her. Acted like she didn't exist. She left halfway through. Filed for divorce a month later. My heart started racing. Amber. I didn't say anything before because I figured you already knew. But now I'm realizing. He never told you, did he? No, he hadn't. Because if he had, I never would have agreed to this trip. I would have seen it for what it was, not a tradition but a damn pattern. And Ethan? He knew exactly what was happening. He had seen it before. And he let it happen anyway. That night he called again. This time I answered. I need you to fix this, he said right away. His voice was low and tight with frustration. No, I said. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I cut him off. This wasn't about tradition. This was about control. You knew what they were going to do to me, and you let it happen. There was silence. Then, who told you that? Bingo. I laughed. So it's true. I wasn't the first. More silence. Then he let out a long sigh. Look, my parents can be difficult, but they mean well. I could barely believe him. Ethan, they don't even see me as part of the family. He hesitated. And in that moment I knew. He wasn't going to stand up for me. He never had. Just come back, he said instead. Let's fix this. I stared out at the ocean, the waves rolling in steady and calm. No, I said again, steady and sure. I think I've already fixed it. And I hung up. Afterward, I just sat there staring at my phone. My mind was spinning. Ethan had known. He had watched it happen before. And instead of protecting me, he let history repeat itself. I wasn't even angry anymore, I was done. I poured myself another drink, leaned back in the lounge chair, and tried to soak in the peace and quiet. But something was eating at me. If he had lied about his ex-wife, what else had he lied about? I opened Facebook and typed her name, Megan. Ethan's ex. I'd never even thought to look her up before, but now? I needed to know. Her profile was locked down, totally private. But I started checking her mutual friends. Then I saw her sister Brooke. And Brooke had public posts. I clicked on one from 2 years ago, right after Megan and Ethan split. Never let a man's family destroy you. Never let them convince you that you're less than you are. My sister deserved better. We all tried to warn her. Never again. My stomach dropped. I kept scrolling. And then I saw a comment from Amber, the same Amber who had just messaged me. I wish she had listened to us. At least she's free now. Free? From what? I sat there, heart pounding. I could message Brooke. I could ask her what really happened. But was I ready to hear it? I stared at the screen for a while, then finally took a breath and typed. Me, hey, this is going to sound really random, but I think we need to talk. She replied within minutes. Brooke, I was wondering when you'd reach out. That one message hit me like a punch to the gut. Me, so you know who I am? Brooke, yeah. We've been waiting for this to happen. We? Me, what do you mean? Brooke, Megan wasn't the first. And she definitely wasn't the last. I felt my chest tighten. Me, what are you saying? Brooke, I'm saying Ethan's done this before. More than once. His parents too. It's what they do. And if you're talking to me now, I'm guessing you just went through it too. I felt physically sick. This wasn't just a weird dynamic. It was a pattern. No, it was a game. A twisted little family ritual where they tore down every woman Ethan brought home. They didn't see his partners as part of the family. Just intruders. And Ethan? He always played along. Me, why didn't anyone warn me? Brooke, we tried. But Ethan keeps his girlfriends isolated. Tells them it's just family quirks. Makes sure they don't ask too many questions. Then she asked. Brooke, did he tell you Megan was the problem? I closed my eyes. Yeah. He had. He told me she was difficult. That she made drama out of nothing. That she never tried to understand his parents. But now? I knew the truth. Megan wasn't dramatic. She was trapped. And so was I. At least, I had been. I didn't sleep much that night. The weight of how much time I'd wasted on this man settled heavy on my chest. But somewhere in all that hurt, there was something else rising, something sharper. There was something gnawing at me, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Why had Ethan called so many times today? Why was he suddenly this desperate? Then at 6 a.m. I got my answer. A text popped up from an unknown number. Ma'am, this is Officer Ramirez with the Clearwater Beach Police Department. We need to speak with you regarding a missing persons report filed by your husband. I sat up so fast I nearly launched my phone across the room. Missing person? I called the number back immediately. The second the officer picked up, I blurted out, I'm fine. I'm not missing. There was a short pause, then he asked, Ma'am, are you saying you left voluntarily? Yes, I said. Obviously. I left on my own. I explained that Ethan knew exactly where I was. He'd been calling and texting nonstop. The officer sighed. Well, your husband said you left without explanation and haven't answered his calls. He said he was concerned for your safety. I clenched my jaw so tight it hurt. This wasn't about concern. This was about power. Ethan didn't think I was in danger, he just didn't like losing control. I took a breath and said firmly, Officer, I'm safe. I'm in Savannah. I left Clearwater Beach by choice. I am not missing. And I do not want my husband contacting me. There was a pause on the other end. Would you like to file a formal no-contact request? I hesitated for a second, then exhaled. Yes. Yes, I would. And just like that, I filed my first official step away from the mess that was my marriage. Not even an hour later, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Linda. Linda, I cannot believe you would humiliate us like this. I literally laughed out loud. Ignored it. Then came another one. Linda, you made Ethan involve the police? Do you have any idea how this looks? Oh, I made him call the cops? Sure. I rolled my eyes and took another sip of coffee. But the messages kept coming. Linda, this family has done nothing but try to welcome you. Linda, you're being incredibly selfish. Linda, you need to come back and fix this. And then finally, Linda, if you don't come back, Ethan is going to make things very difficult for you. I froze. That wasn't even subtle. That was a threat. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen, reading and rereading those words. I had thought this whole thing was just about control, about toxic family games. But now, it was something darker. This wasn't just them trying to isolate me or tear me down. This was about breaking me. And if I didn't take a stand now, Ethan was going to make sure they succeeded. I stared at that last message again. If you don't come back, Ethan is going to make things very difficult for you. That wasn't a warning. It was a promise. And in that moment I felt it, the shift. This wasn't just passive-aggressive family drama. This was war. So I cracked my knuckles, took a deep breath and sent one single reply. Me perfect. Let's make things difficult then. And then I got to work. I booked a conference room in my hotel in Savannah. Then I sent out invites, Ethan, his parents, and Amber. If they wanted to play games, fine. But I was bringing it all into the light. The next morning I sat alone in the quiet, neutral-toned room. A long wooden table stretched out in front of me, bottles of water placed at every seat. The air buzzed with tension. Then the door slammed open. Ethan walked in first, his jaw clenched so tight I thought it might snap. Right behind him came Linda, heels tapping like gunfire on the floor, and Gerald, already fuming, face red. Amber came in last, arms crossed, giving me a subtle nod. I couldn't tell if she was here as backup, a mediator, or just for the show. I leaned back in my chair, totally calm. Glad you all could make it. Ethan's voice was sharp. What the hell is this? I gave a slow, deliberate smile. A conversation. You've been dying to talk, so let's talk. Gerald scoffed and crossed his arms. You think this is funny? No, I said, steady as stone. I think it's pathetic. I think your family plays twisted little games with every woman who enters it. And this time, you picked the wrong one. Linda's eyes narrowed. You abandoned us. I actually laughed. Oh, I abandoned you? That's rich. You all spent an entire vacation pretending I didn't exist. Ethan gripped the back of a chair, breathing hard. You're blowing this way out of proportion. And that was it. I slammed my palms down on the table so hard it echoed. Linda flinched. I am your wife. Not some stranger. Not some guest you can ignore. I jabbed a finger at Ethan. And you knew. You knew this wasn't the first time they'd done this. You knew the whole time. And you let it happen anyway. Ethan went pale. Linda jumped in, shrill and defensive. We were just following tradition. Bullshit, I snapped. It's not a tradition. It's control. It's a test you make every woman take, and you fail them. Every time. Ethan shook his head. You're overreacting. I pulled out my phone, opened the messages from Brooke, and slid it across the table. Read it. He hesitated. Read it. Ethan finally picked it up. I watched his face tighten as he scrolled. His jaw worked like he was chewing glass. Then he tossed the phone down like it burned him. This isn't proof of anything. Gerald crossed his arms, puffed up. You're digging up old stories. Has nothing to do with us. I turned to Linda. Really? Because last night you sent me a message threatening me. You said if I didn't come back, Ethan would make things very difficult. Linda's mouth snapped shut. Amber let out a low whistle. Wow. Ethan spun toward his mother, eyes blazing. You did what? Linda stiffened. I was trying to make her understand. Understand what? Ethan's voice rose. That you've been pulling this crap for years? That you did the same thing to Megan. Gerald shifted in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. Linda shot him a warning glance, but the damage was already done. I saw it, the crack. The fracture in Ethan's blind loyalty to his parents. He turned back to me, and for the first time he looked unsure. I waited, just waited, to see if he'd finally say something that mattered. But instead, he dragged his hands through his hair and sighed. I can fix this. And that was his instinct? Not an apology, not an ounce of remorse, just managing the situation. I leaned back, exhaled slowly. You really don't get it, do you? Silence. It didn't matter to me. I was long gone. I moved back to Savannah, got myself a cozy little apartment, reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years. And slowly, piece by piece, I started rebuilding my life. One night, months later, I got a text from an unknown number. Ethan, I see it now. I'm sorry. I stared at it for a while. No anger. No sadness. Just quiet. Then I deleted it. Because for the first time in years I was free.